I feel like we talk a lot about self-sabotage, specifically for women, especially for Black women who are just too dang fly, right? I think a lot of us spend a lot of time thinking about self-sabotage, and we have been taught of it. We've been taught about it as though it is a bad habit that we have to break. And I've been sitting in it more over this last couple weeks, particularly as I've been thinking more about executive functioning, and I'm starting to wonder whether or not the self you sabotaged was even you. I want to talk more about it, and I need you to give me time to cook. But first, we got to do the intro. And welcome back to another episode of the Daily Donna with me, your host, Dr. Donna Oriowo. I am a sex and relationship therapist in the Washington, D.C. metro area. I'm the author of Drink Water and Mind Your Business, a Black woman's guide to unlearning the BS and healing self-esteem. And I think that this is a conversation where we will be wrapping a couple of concepts together, and I'm going to just need you to sit with me right quick. So self-sabotage is one of those things that is, I think we should go ahead and look up the actual full-on definition. Let's look it up. Sabotage. It is the conscious or unconscious behaviors, thoughts, and habits that undermine your own goals, relationships, and well-being. So now we have a working definition. We have OD'd it, operationally defined our terms. So when we talk about self-sabotage, we're talking specifically about the conscious or unconscious behaviors, thoughts, and habits that undermine your own goals, relationships, and well-being. And I'm going to tell you why I don't know if it's you that you self-sabotaged. I know that sounds completely weird, but let's start here, right? In the "Are Boys Easier to Raise or Girls Conniving" video, I talked a lot about executive functioning and how executive functioning skills for girls specifically are often some of the very things that are foundational to being a good leader, that girls are penalized for, that girls are told, you didn't do what you were supposed to do, you're conniving. Like those same skills, when developed and seen in a girl, is seen as something that should be given all level of side eye to, because it's kind of like, well, we didn't expect, we didn't want, and we don't desire to hear from you or to see you in a specific position. So you need to play your part, which is beneath whatever or whoever that white man is, right? Right. So I need us to stick with me. So we're also talking then about power dynamics. And not just the power dynamics as it relates to the either ors of gender and even race, but also the intersectionality of those. Now, Kimberly Crenshaw gave us that word, and I feel like everybody knows what it means at this point. Are you one of those people? If you're not, then intersectionality is that space between intersecting, often marginalized identities, and not how things are additive, but really how they are multiplied. So that if you are, I don't know, Black and female, that it's not just that you are experiencing racism from being Black or sexism from being woman, but you get both of those, but this spicy in between that is just made for Black women, that white women will never experience and that Black men will never know. We're talking multiplying of the experiences. So in this case, where we're talking about some of these skills, or some of the skills and how it relates to gender, for example, so the executive functioning skills are impulse control, emotional control, flexible thinking, working memory, self-monitoring, planning and prioritizing, task initiation, and organization. If these skills in particular are displayed by a woman, by a female, by a girl, then it is seen as conniving, because girls have no reason to be in leadership spaces where you would be required to have all of these lovely skills. Males, on the other hand, males, boys, men, hombres, whatever, they are allowed to have these skills and even be missing some of these skills and still be placed in a leadership position because they are men. Are we following so far? This is how sexism works. The power lies with men. It does not lie with women. Boom. We cool? We cool. Great. Now, if you want to go on a racial divide as well, then we expect these skills, these high executive functioning skills, to be in who? White people, not in Black people. Why? Because racism. Racism gives us partly the halo and the horn effect. So the halo effect is you are good and light and bright and God ordained to have all these things and to be so smart, and you are blessed with good looks and good smarts, right? That is the halo of it all. The horn of it all is that you are ugly, you are dark, you are not supposed to be here, you are lucky that we treat you as anything more than the animal that we really believe that you are. You are not as smart, you're not as bright, you're not as good, you need to be controlled by any means necessary. Halo, horn, and it works that way even if we're talking about colorism. I am light skinned, you are dark skinned, same thing, right? It works also with disability. It works also with transness. All these things can be divided up into the horn and the halo. Who is what? And it usually is that whoever power unnaturally, because it's very unnatural, aligns with that, those are the people who would be seen with the halo, and the other people would be the ones seen with the horn. Got it? Got it. Cool. So where it comes to executive functioning, Black, disabled, dark-skinned women, etc., people who are not often aligned with power are going to be seen as people who are conniving or uppity or otherwise moving beyond where they're supposed to be in order for them to be displaying these type of skills, because these skills are for rich white cis het men. So if you are not a white rich cis het man, you have no business with any of these things, which means that even if these rich white cis het men don't even display an iota of executive functioning, people will create it where it doesn't exist, or otherwise say that they're just being eccentric and that that's what makes them so special, despite the fact that this person is a whole plum fool. Now, why did I say that you didn't self-sabotage, right? Because what I just said doesn't answer that question. Why am I saying that you didn't self-sabotage? I'm saying you didn't self-sabotage because I don't even know if the you that you try to be is you. I don't know if the you that you're performing is someone else's version. And that's the question for you. So I want you to pause, take a moment to consider, do you want the things that you want, or did somebody want it for you so bad that you tricked yourself into believing that it was your desire too? And this is where drink water and mind your business comes in. In the book, I talk about how to have healthier self-esteem. One of the first stops on our way to better self-esteem is actually self-concept. Self-concept is what you know about you, boo-boo. And that encompasses everything, your moods, your favorites, the things you dislike. It's everything. However, a lot of us, we don't know ourselves. What we know is who we pretended to be. What our mamas wanted for us, what our daddies wanted for us, what family members wanted for us. We know what society thinks of us and where we're supposed to be, including if they say things like, oh, I don't know, girls are conniving. If they say things like, oh, you're not light-skinned enough to be acting like that, right? Like you're not pretty enough for that. You think you smart, you think you're something, because society has its own messages, whether or not they say it outright or whether or not they kind of dog whistle you. The fact is we all in a space, in a sense, know our place. And once you know your place, you may not be acting like you, but the you that you know you're allowed to be according to the powers that be, based off your race, your skin tone, your gender presentation, everything about you that they would say they know better than you. Which, pausing here, anyone who would aggrandize themselves to say that they know you better than you know yourself is a whole plumb liar. And yes, I mean your mammy and your pappy too. Moving forward, the thing is, if you don't know who you are, you cannot esteem it. What you can esteem is your performance. So if you have been reaching for goals that are not yours, If you have been with a partner you don't want, but that someone wants for you. If you have been constantly pretending, putting on the face of what it means to be a good girl, to be a good Black woman, to be a good worker, a good daughter. If you know what the people are expecting and you perform it for them, number one, it's no wonder why you are exhausted, because pretending takes a lot out of anybody. That's number one. But number two, then you don't have self-concept. What you have are concepts of self from other people that they have expected you to perform. Baby, you are an actress. You're not you. You're what they wanted you to be, which means that you don't have self-esteem, because the only thing that you can esteem is the performance. And the performance can only be judged by what they say they experienced from what you did. Which means not only do you not have self-esteem, you have no self-concept and you have no self-esteem. You're vacant twice. Which means that you may not have self-sabotaged at all, because this self-sabotage is not just about whether or not you created a bunch of bad habits. We're talking about whether or not your identity has been the thing that has been affected. And there's a difference between your identity and a habit. A habit is just something that you do probably by rote a lot. And I make a habit of doing this thing. Like I make a habit of getting up every morning at 6:30 a.m. Although not this week, because I tell you, since time changed, a girl don't get up when she used to. But, right, it's like I habitually drink water. I habitually take naps. I habitually read, right? Like habits, those are built up. Character, identity, that's who you are. But when who you are has come up against the sort of glass box of how far, how big, how grand you get to be, now we're talking about identity. Do you get to show up as you are for who you are, or are you constantly in a space of masking? Masking is exactly what it sounds like. You put on the mask. A lot of us, instead of saying masking, we'll say that we code switched. Code switching can be related to masking, but it is not the same thing. Code switching is usually something you do in your throat. It's the way you change up the way you talk, or the way that you say things in order to sometimes appease an audience. Sometimes it's also literally code switching from one language to another language. Like if I speak English, it sounds like this. Mais j'ai parlé en français, il changeait how I use my voice, right? Like even from where in my voice I would talk, it changes. Now, when we're talking about constant masking, when you're constantly masking for others, it can increase feelings of depression, of anxiety. You can have the lowest of low self-esteem that you have ever imagined, and not even just that, also constantly feeling disconnected from yourself. You're feeling disconnected from yourself because you literally are disconnected from yourself. And for you to constantly pretend, it requires you to, in many ways, disconnect from your body, which means that it's also harder for you to self-trust because you have not built up the muscle to do it. You trust the performance, which is not the same thing as trusting yourself. You follow me? So when you are out here trusting someone else knows you better and knows how you should perform it, then your self-concept is what they gave you, and you can esteem whether or not you did a good job on the performance. So there's your self-concept, there's your self-esteem, which means your behaviors, including going for that job that you didn't want, marrying that person that you don't like, having those kids you didn't even think about whether or not you actually wanted, living the life that you're living. You could be doing all of those things in accordance to the performance, but there comes a time where the performance, the mask, gets heavy. And once that thing gets heavy, baby, it looks a lot like self-sabotage. Why does it look like self-sabotage? Because you are sabotaging something, but the sabotage you're sabotaging is probably not you. It's probably not yours. Now, as an aside, I feel like, let me go aside. As an aside, I'm not saying that 100% of moments where someone is self-sabotaging that it is because they are not themselves. I'm saying that that's the first thing that I want you to actually look at, though. I want you to determine whether or not the life that you're living is the life that you, not your mom, not your dad, not your partner, not the children, not responsibilities, not these bills. Is that not that whether or not this is the life they want you to lead, or even the one that the society wants for you to lead? I'm asking, is it the one that you want? That's not the same thing, beloved. Because a lot of us we're like, oh, it's self-sabotage, it's self-sabotage. It's not self-sabotage. You don't want what they wanted for you anymore. It's hard. It's hard to put on that mask. It's hard to front. It's hard to do that work. That makes sense. Why would you want to continue to live somebody else's life through your bones? It's hard. It's heavy. It's untenable. It's unmanageable. It's exhausting. You get to be, you get to feel, you get to name that exhaustion. You also get to stop. You are sabotaging the life that someone else has wanted you to live through your body because it's not what you desire. It's okay to say that. It's okay to name that. I'm right there with you. The question is, how do you get to the point where maybe you stop? Sometimes it's even, how do I stop the sabotage, because you need this life right now, because this life pays for everything right now. Sometimes all your emotions need is acknowledgement. That's really what they need. Sabotage is not the start of a conversation, it's the finishing of one. If there is sabotage, then something else is happening. What is the something else? There is an emotion tied to it. What is the emotion? If you're unsure, this is how we get sure. Scan your body from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. Note where you notice anything, good, bad, indifferent, other, ugly, whatever. We're noticing everything. Write it down where you notice something going on in your body. Then, if that body part could talk, if it could feel, if it could do all the things, what would it tell you that it's thinking? What would it tell you that it's feeling? What would it tell you that it wants to do? Write it down. Because, baby, your body knows something, even if you stop learning how to listen. This is just one way of being able to tap back in. But part of the reason why self-sabotage looks like self-sabotage is because half the time you didn't self-sabotage. You sabotaged on something that you didn't even want. Something that you were told you should want. Something that you were told looks like success. But it's not success if it's not yours, and it's certainly not success if you don't want it. So, find the thing that you actually want. Because otherwise, you're going to continue to live somebody else's life and find that there are limits to how far that life can go because it's not even the one that you want. Self-sabotage is about more, regardless whether or not it's true self-sabotage, like it's yourself that you are sabotaging. It's about more than just breaking bad habits. It's about recognizing what has been embedded into the very identity, into the fabric of your identity. Because regardless, like even if you do know yourself and you do like yourself and you still find yourself in a space of self-sabotage, right? It could be because you've also been programmed to know what the limits are for someone like you, for someone who is Black, for someone who is female, for someone who is fat, for someone who wears glasses, for someone who has kinky hair, for someone who is dark skinned, for someone who is disabled. All of these things have their limits. There's only so far that the people out there want to see you go, want to see you shine, want to see you do before they're ready to place their limitations upon you. You are not a person who your awareness of this phenomena does not mean that you don't belong where you're going. It doesn't mean that you have imposter syndrome. You're aware. You recognize the limits. And I would even say that maybe in your body in that moment also recognizes that if I step over this threshold, I will now be in a space where I will no longer be safe. It's okay for you to know that. It's okay for you to note that. And it is okay for you to decide for yourself what you would like to do. because there's multiple ways that we can come to self-sabotage, right? Like I said, on the one end, it may not even be that you sabotage yourself. Maybe it's you sabotaging the dreams that others have required you to live in your body. But on the other end, it could be that you understand very well the limits that they have placed on what your identity is supposed to be able to achieve. And that if you achieve more, you also paint a target on your back. So it could be that your sympathetic nervous system has come online, baby, and fight, flight, freeze, or fawn is very much in effect, whether or not you noticed it. I'm hoping that because I said it, you notice it. I'm hoping that if you see this thing in somebody else, that you will send them this video so that they can take a moment to consider for themselves what all is going on. And if you happen to be in the DMV area, seek me out. I'm a therapist here. All right. So we talked a little bit about self-concept, self-esteem, aligned behavior, and what that all has to do with self-sabotage. True self-sabotage, like you know yourself and you are sabotaging because you're not trying to make it to the next level because of whatever is going on, which might actually be about safety and the limits that somebody puts on your identity. And the self-sabotage that's not actually self-sabotage because you didn't even want that thing in the first, second, or third place because somebody else wanted it for you. I'm saying that this is something for you to do additional work on. I highly recommend reading this book. I know it's mine, but I recommend reading it anyway, not just because it's mine, but because of why I wrote it. I wrote it for Black women because this is part of the part where we unlearn the BS, where we heal self-esteem. Sometimes that means finding our way back to our self-esteem so that we can stop esteeming the performance that we put on for others. And I say that with what? Love. Oh, no, the way they do it now. Yes, I do it the millennial way, but I also do it this new age way. Yes. Showing my age, honey. So, what would life look like if you were living the life that you wanted and not the one that someone else wanted for you? And if you are living the life that you want, but you still find yourself self-sabotaging, what would life look like if you stopped? I want to know. And some inquiring, I'm the inquiring mind that wants to know. So I don't even got to put it on nobody else. I am the inquiring mind that wants to know. So please tell me in the comments because I'm all up in your business and I'm ready for some information. All right, you are the bee's knees. I am Dr. Donna. This is the Daily Donna. And you know that we have those conversations with a therapeutic edge. And you also know that I'm going to be back when? Tomorrow, because this is the Daily Donna. As an aside and as a PS, I know I did not offer you any solutions to this because right now your first step is simply awareness. Be aware that your self-sabotage may not be what you think it is, but may be the limitations that someone else placed upon your identity. Note them, name them, and make a plan for how you would like to get rid of them, what life you would actually like to lead, what limitations do you want to place on yourself maybe for the next year, but certainly not the limitations that someone else has given to you as though they are your own. I'm saying that sometimes the only thing there is to do is return that nonsense gift they gave you back to sender. With love. All right. This time I'm gone for real. Bye.